CCTV footage showed Grace meeting her date by that Christmas tree, and then the two of them walked away together as they moved between bars and were getting drinks. The couple looked affectionate. They were embracing each other and even kissing. At around 9:20, Grace had gotten up to go and use the restroom during the date, and that footage captured Grace's date rifling through her purse while she was gone, which was extremely weird. At 9:40 p.m. on the eve of Grace's 22nd birthday, that CCTV footage shows her returning to her date's apartment. They looked like any other comfortable young couple returning from a fun night out as they started walking toward the building with their arms wrapped around each other and holding hands. Police looked at Grace's social media, and they noticed that shortly after Grace had returned from the bathroom, her date posted a comment on her Facebook profile picture, and the comment read, "Beautiful, very radiant." Thanks to that comment, detectives quickly put a name to the face that they were seeing on that CCTV footage, and they identified the man as 26-year-old Jesse Shane Kepson. Cameras in the building he was staying at captured Jesse getting in the elevator at 8 a.m. on December 2nd, Grace's birthday. He was alone, and he eventually left the lobby and headed toward the atrium on Elliott, arriving there about 7 minutes later. Detectives watched footage of Jesse browsing and then purchasing a suitcase. After that, he went on to buy cleaning supplies. Around 11 a.m., he took a taxi to a car rental company where he rented a red Toyota Corolla. Shockingly, several hours after Jesse was seen on camera renting a car and buying a suitcase and buying cleaning supplies, he went on a Tinder date. Unfazed, this man then went on with his day, collecting cleaning supplies and even renting a Rug Doctor cleaning machine, telling employees that it was for red wine stains. Footage captured him taking that Rug Doctor up to the room a little before 9 p.m. on December 2nd. At 9:30, Jesse pushed a trolley loaded with 2 seemingly heavy suitcases into the elevator, and then he packed them into the trunk of his rental car. He looks unfazed, and even appears to joke around with an employee as he returns the empty trolley back to the lobby. Bright and early on the morning of December 3rd, Jesse then headed out on yet another suspicious shopping trip, this time buying a shovel around 7 a.m. Again, he chatted up the cashier and appeared to be running casual errands. Jesse then dropped off bags at a dry cleaner before heading to a car wash. There, he was caught on camera yet again, power washing the car before he returned it to the rental company, where it was then rented by someone else. So on December 5th, the same day that Grace was reported as missing, Jesse was seen carrying bags, which he then dumped in various trash bins throughout the entire city. Jesse Kempson was born in Lower Hutt on December 28, 1991, and he grew up in Wellington. Nearly everyone who came into contact with him called him a compulsive liar. His own stepbrother said that he was a pathological liar who enjoyed having power over people. And these weren't harmless, just little lies either. Jesse had gone so far as to tell people that he was dying of cancer and that he had gang relations. After his rent was late on multiple occasions, his landlord learned that state benefits were actually what paid his rent, not this 6-figure salary that Jesse had told him. And this was despite Jesse telling people that he was everything from a successful businessman to a professional softball player. And his last job was in telephone sales. Jesse arrived back at the apartment, but when he saw the police, he turned around and tried to hide his face as he then hurried away. The officer spotted Jesse and chased him as an employee was looking on and watching the whole thing happen. They caught up to him that day and then brought him in for questioning. Jesse ran through the events of the night with them. He claimed that at the end of the night there was a hug and a kiss on the cheek before they went their separate ways with a plan to keep in touch. However, investigators didn't believe him. And the reason for that was because cameras had captured the pair getting off the elevator and then heading toward one of the apartments. On December 8th, detectives interviewed Jesse once again. And by this time, Jesse's story had changed drastically. This time, he claimed that when they returned to his room, they were both very drunk and started making out, saying we were kissing and talking and kissing some more. He then claimed that Grace turned the music down and started talking about 50 Shades of Grey and bondage. He said the two of them started to have sex and that it was normal, but then he told police, "She told me that there's a few things that she likes doing and that she had done with her ex-partner." He told police that Grace started biting him and asking him to bite her, so he complied. And then she allegedly told him to hold her throat and to go harder. Jesse said that the two of them ended up on the floor by the time it was finished, and he got up to go and take a shower. He said he accidentally fell asleep in the shower, and he remembered waking up and crawling back into bed, but it was dark and he didn't see Grace, so he assumed that she had left. Jesse told them that when he woke up the next morning, she was lying on the floor with blood coming out of her nose, and because of that, he panicked. But Jesse insisted that it was an accident. It was violent play that had gone wrong, and it was not murder. At the end of the interview, the detective told Jesse that he was under the arrest for the murder of Grace. Police conducted a forensic search in Jesse's room, and they found Grace's blood saturating the entire room. Now, that blood told a very different story than she simply had a nosebleed. But Jesse cooperated and agreed to take detectives to where he buried Grace. Detectives Evan Ingley found Grace's body shortly after 4 p.m. on December 9th, and it was off Scenic Drive in the Waitakere Ranges, about 12 miles west of central Auckland. On December 10th, just 9 days after Grace went missing, Jesse appeared in court with his identity suppressed. The autopsy details in the courtroom were horrifying, and Jesse's actions made him look even more like a monster. Results confirmed that Grace had been strangled, and she had bruises on her arms and her chest as if she had been pinned down. The pathologist said that the pressure would have been applied to her neck for at least 4 to 5 minutes with considerable force. Now, remember how Jesse told the cops that he had fallen asleep in the shower and believed that Grace had left? Well, his phone searches told an entirely different story about his actions that night. After killing Grace, Jesse had searched for the hottest fire, flesh-eating birds, and Waitakere Ranges, the exact location where Grace's body was found stuffed into a suitcase. Now, unsatisfied by those morbid searches, he then did the unthinkable. He actually took intimate photos of Grace's dead body and trolled porn sites. On November 22, 2019, a jury of 5 men and 7 women found Jesse guilty of the murder of Grace, only after 5 hours of deliberation. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum non-parole of 17 years. His own family labeled him as a pathetic fantasist, and the lead investigator said that he was sure that Jesse would have killed someone else if it were not Grace that night.